sorry to hear that.
John Wick, seeking to retrieve his stolen car and finally retire, finds his peace shattered when a past blood oath forces him to assassinate an Italian crime lord's sister. This act places a massive bounty on his head, turning the entire assassin world against him. He must navigate a treacherous global network of killers, fighting for survival and facing the ultimate consequences of breaking the Continental's most secret rule.
Gentlemen, mind you, Signore. May I suggest? Yes.
Yeah.
Cause he stole a car inventory.
For a car?
Nephew. Cause fucking will. Pencil! I can assure you, if nothing else.
Тебе моя.
Какой фраер, очень. Мир.
Italiano. Addio. Courtesy. John Wick. He's at the museum. You.
Let us toast. Alla salute. How are you? Wick is here.
Self-images could our place within it. And just possibly...
Io. Ma allora no. You should have... what the Camorra will do to you. Fact. I think you're a dick.
Welcome. At the new modern inflation. You are now...
Hey guys, today we are diving headfirst back into the elegantly violent, dog-loving world of John Wick with Chapter 2, a film that somehow manages to make the first movie look like a pleasant stroll in the park. If you had a good time with this, a like and a subscribe is a free way to help me keep making more. So, picking up almost immediately after the first film, John Wick, still grieving and absolutely not enjoying his newfound fame among the underworld, is out to get his beloved 1969 Mustang Boss 429 back. The opening shot, a slow zoom, takes us to a dark, rainy night in New York, the kind where every shadow seems to hold a threat, which for John is basically every shadow. He's tracking the car, which was stolen by Yosef Tarasov's brother, Abram. Now, John isn't just looking for the car, he's looking for a semblance of closure, maybe even a new paint job for his muscle car. The intel leads him to a chop shop, a greasy, clanking palace of stolen metal and illicit transactions. He pulls up in what I can only assume is a borrowed, entirely unremarkable vehicle because his own ride is, missing. The shop is bustling, filled with the clang of wrenches on metal, the hiss of hydraulic lifts, and the low thrum of powerful engines. It's a symphony of stolen goods. He walks in, a figure of calm menace, and spots his car, or what's left of it, being unceremoniously taken apart. The sight of his car being cannibalized must have felt like a personal affront, worse than 1,000 paper cuts. What follows is an exquisite ballet of vehicular mayhem and close-quarters combat. John, ever the subtle one, decides to drive his Mustang through the front of the shop to retrieve it. The crash of metal, the shattering glass, it's a grand entrance, to say the least. Guys with guns, who clearly didn't get the memo that you don't mess with John Wick's car, come pouring out. The first few are dealt with swiftly, a blur of precise bone-crunching strikes, the thud of bodies hitting concrete. He's not just fighting, he's moving with an almost mechanical efficiency, each punch and kick delivered with a purpose, a finality. The sounds are sharp, brutal, the crack of a jaw, the grunt of effort, the soft landing of a body that's just had its lights turned out. He then backs the Mustang out and immediately gets into a street chase with Abram's goons. It's an insane, high-octane pursuit through the rainy streets, the tires squealing like tortured banshees as he drifts and weaves, smashing into cars, using the very environment as a weapon. The crunch of crumpling metal, the distant wail of sirens, it's all part of the chaotic soundtrack. The chase culminates in a spectacular sequence where John drives his Mustang directly into the building housing Abram Tarasov's operations. The sheer force of the impact shakes the entire structure, debris flying everywhere. It's a statement, a violent period at the end of a very long, bloody sentence. Inside, he confronts Abram, who surprisingly is willing to negotiate. Abram, bless his heart, tries to act tough, sitting behind his desk, but you can practically smell the fear radiating off of him. He even mentions, with a mix of dread and awe, how John killed his brother and everyone around him for a dog. A slight exaggeration, but accurate in spirit. John, in his usual stoic fashion, just wants his car back and to be left alone. He explains, very calmly, that the only reason Abram is still breathing is that his dog, a new pit bull, seems to like him. Honestly, the dog has better diplomatic skills than most world leaders. They part ways with an uneasy truce, John leaving the wreckage of his car and the building as a testament to his resolve. He then drives his battered Mustang, a metallic war veteran, back to his home, looking utterly exhausted, but for a moment, at peace. Upon returning, he parks the car, clearly in dire need of some serious bodywork, in his garage. He pulls off the covering on his concrete floor to reveal a hidden compartment. He carefully places his weapons, gold coins, and other tools of his former trade back into their hollowed resting place. He then pours concrete over it all again, smoothing it out with meticulous care. He's burying his past, literally, metaphorically, and with a trowel. He even fills in the bullet holes in his wall, patching up the scars of his previous life, hoping for a fresh start. He's doing laundry, cleaning the house, feeding the dog, living a shockingly mundane life for a man who just committed vehicular manslaughter. The only sound is the gentle hum of the washing machine and the soft clinking of the dog's food bowl. He's trying. He really is. But this is John Wick, and peace is about as fleeting as a politician's promise. The very next morning, a knock on his door shatters the domestic calm. It's Santino D'Antonio, a smarmy, impeccably dressed Italian crime lord, here to collect on a blood oath, a marker. We learn about these markers in the first film, but here we see their true, unbreakable power. Santino casually presents the marker, a circular medallion with his bloody thumbprint on one side and John's on the other. It's a chilling artifact, a physical representation of an unbreakable debt. John, looking like he'd rather fight a legion of ninjas than deal with this guy, immediately refuses. He's retired, he says. He wants no part of it. Santino, however, reminds him that a marker, once given, must be honored. It's a foundational rule of their shadowy world, more sacred than any law. Breaking it means breaking the entire system, and no one, not even John Wick, is above the rules. The tension in the room is palpable, a silent standoff between a man desperate for peace and a man determined to pull him back into the abyss. John, being John, tells Santino to leave. Santino, being Santino, doesn't take no for an answer. He tries to appeal to John's sense of honor, then threatens him. When John still refuses, Santino escalates. He uses a grenade launcher, mind you, to utterly destroy John's beautiful home. The explosion is deafening, a roar that rips through the quiet suburban street, sending debris and flames skyward. The house, John's sanctuary, his last tangible link to his wife, is gone in a flash, reduced to a smoldering ruin. It's a brutal, deeply personal attack, not just on his property, but on his hope for a quiet life. The dog whimpers, clinging to John, who just stares at the inferno, his face a mask of grief and fury. This isn't just an inconvenience, it's a declaration of war, a clear message: you can't run, John. With his house a literal wreck and his attempts at retirement thwarted by an orbital strike, John has nowhere left to turn but to the Continental Hotel, the neutral ground for assassins, a place where business can be discussed but never conducted. He seeks out Winston, the enigmatic manager, who greets him with a knowing, almost sympathetic gaze. The Continental, as always, is a sanctuary of quiet luxury, a stark contrast to the burning ruins John just left. The clink of glasses, hushed conversations, the distant murmur of the city, it's all background noise to the serious discussion at hand. Winston explains the absolute, non-negotiable nature of the markers. He details how they operate, how they bind, how they are the very bedrock of their society. To refuse a marker is to betray the trust of the High Table, to undermine the entire code. Winston, in his calm, authoritative voice, reminds John that even he, the Baba Yaga, isn't above the rules. He delivers the chilling ultimatum: honor the marker or suffer the consequences, which, for John Wick, would mean being declared excommunicado, cast out, hunted, killed. It's a fate worse than death in their world. John, with a heavy sigh that carries the weight of 1,000 past kills, finally agrees. He's back. And honestly, for a guy who just wants to walk his dog, he really gets pulled into some extreme situations. Now that John has reluctantly accepted his fate, he needs to prepare. And in the world of John Wick, preparation is an art form. First stop, the sommelier. This isn't your average wine expert. He's a connoisseur of deadly implements. John walks into a hidden armory, a dark, well-appointed room filled with an array of weapons that would make any self-respecting arms dealer weep with joy. The clink of metal, the soft glide of a drawer opening, the low hum of concealed lighting, it's a sensory experience. John requests the tasting menu, specifying caliber and stopping power. The sommelier, played by Peter Serafinowicz with a delightful air of professional detachment, expertly guides him through a selection of pistols, rifles, and shotguns, describing each weapon's unique characteristics with the reverence one might reserve for a fine vintage. Glock 34, a robust, accurate weapon, he might say. For a more intimate affair, perhaps the H&K P30L, a crisp, clean shot. John handles each piece with practiced ease, feeling the weight, checking the balance. He chooses a selection that's both practical and utterly devastating, paying for them with those iconic gold coins, the currency of their shadowed realm. The entire transaction is conducted with polite formality, as if they're discussing dinner options, not instruments of death. It's a wonderfully dry piece of world building, showing the professionalism even in the most deadly aspects of their society. It really makes you wonder if they have a loyalty program. Next, John needs a new suit. Not just any suit, but a bespoke, bulletproof battle armor. He visits the tailor, another essential service provider in this assassin ecosystem. The tailor, Luca Mosca, takes John's measurements with the same meticulous care one might apply to a presidential fitting. He asks about John's needs, about the kind of engagement he expects. John, ever concise, simply requests tactical. The tailor presents various weaves and materials, explaining their ballistic properties with a connoisseur's passion. Italian wool, 3-piece, 2-button, single-breasted, with a tactical lining, he declares, as if he's describing a particularly elegant form of Kevlar. The sound of measuring tape unspooling, the soft rustle of fabric, the snip of scissors, it's all part of the ritual. The suit isn't just clothing, it's a part of his protection, a part of his identity as the Baba Yaga. It's almost comical how seriously they treat the fashion side of their murder business. He pays for this too, of course, with more gold coins. With his arsenal and armor ready, John heads to Rome. The grandeur of the ancient city, with its sweeping vistas and historical architecture, provides a stark, beautiful backdrop to the grim task at hand. The cobbled streets, the magnificent fountains, the crumbling ruins, it's a living museum, soon to be a battleground. He's there to kill Santino D'Antonio, Santino's sister, who, it turns out, is a high-ranking member of the High Table. He knows this is a suicide mission, a one-way ticket to more trouble. The weight of his obligation, the inevitable bloodshed, hangs heavy in the air. The sounds of Rome, the distant church bells, the chatter of tourists, the rumble of traffic, feel strangely peaceful, almost mocking. John tracks Gianna to a lavish party at the Baths of Caracalla, a magnificent ruin repurposed into an exclusive high society event. The place is teeming with people, all impeccably dressed, all seemingly oblivious to the deadly dance about to unfold. The murmur of conversation, the clinking of champagne glasses, the soft strains of classical music. It's a luxurious facade for a very dark purpose. John infiltrates the party, moving through the crowd like a ghost, his new suit blending in perfectly. He navigates the labyrinthian ancient baths, each step echoing softly on the stone. He finds Gianna, who is having a moment of quiet reflection in a secluded, candlelit area. She knows why he's there. She even expects it. In a deeply poignant and brutal scene, Gianna chooses to slit her own wrists rather than be assassinated by John, thereby denying Santino the satisfaction and keeping her dignity. The squelch of flesh, the gasp of air, the crimson spreading in the water. It's a horrifyingly intimate moment. John, ever the professional, delivers the final mercy shot to her head, fulfilling his marker. The muffled report of the silenced pistol is swallowed by the vastness of the baths and the distant party sounds. The moment the shot rings out, the relative calm explodes. Gianna's personal bodyguard, Cassian, hears it. Cassian, played by Common, is a formidable assassin in his own right, and he's not about to let John just waltz out after killing his principal. The chase is on, leading John through the ancient, atmospheric catacombs beneath the baths. The air is thick with dust and the smell of damp earth. The only sounds the scrape of their shoes on stone and their ragged breathing. It's a claustrophobic, intense pursuit, the shadows playing tricks on their eyes. John, with his tactical shotgun, engages Cassian's bodyguards in a series of brutal, close-quarters gunfights. The shotgun blasts are deafening in the confined space, echoing off the ancient walls, sending shivers down your spine. The crack of bone, the thud of bodies, the spray of stone fragments as bullets impact, it's visceral. The confrontation between John and Cassian is a highlight. It's a fierce, no-holds-barred gun-fu ballet through the catacombs. Bullets fly, fists connect with sickening thuds, and knives gleam in the dim light. The sounds are a symphony of violence. The sharp retort of gunfire, the metallic clang of a knife deflecting, the grunt of exertion, the heavy fall of a body. They tumble down stairs, slam into pillars, each movement precise and deadly. Eventually, their fight spills out into the busy streets of Rome, where they engage in a shockingly public knife fight, weaving through confused tourists who probably think it's some kind of extreme street performance. It's hilariously understated how oblivious the public often is to the mayhem around John Wick. They stab, parry, and punch, the blades glinting under the streetlights, each thrust aiming for a vital spot. The sharp whistle of a blade cutting air, the sickening thud of a pommel hitting a temple, it's all there. Their fight ends in a surprising truce dictated by the rules of the Continental. They both tumble through the front doors of the Roman Continental, a moment of comedic timing amid the brutality. The rule, no business on Continental grounds. They drop their weapons with a collective sigh, bleeding and bruised, but adhering to the code. They sit down for a drink, treating each other with a weary respect. John even pulls the knife out of Cassian's shoulder, a casual act of first aid between mortal enemies. The silence in the bar, broken only by the clinking of ice, is heavy with unspoken rivalry and professional courtesy. It's a surreal moment of peace before the storm. John, still bleeding, still reeling, knows that his marker is fulfilled, but the trouble is just beginning. This whole rules thing is really just a convenient way for them to pause their murder sprees for a bit of R&R, isn't it? Back in New York, John quickly discovers that Santino, the ever-treacherous villain, has put a $7 million bounty on his head. This isn't just any bounty, it's a global, open-ended contract, broadcast to every assassin on the High Tables network. The news spreads like wildfire through encrypted messages and hushed whispers in alleyways. The moment John steps out of the Continental, he's a target. Every single person on the street could be an assassin, every shadow could hold a threat. The casual stroll of a passerby, the sudden glance from a stranger, it all takes on a sinister edge. It's a brilliant way to make the entire city feel dangerous, transforming mundane urban environments into deadly hunting grounds. John's initial attempt to find Santino leads him to a concert held in what appears to be an abandoned warehouse. This is where he encounters Eris, Santino's mute, deadly bodyguard, played by Ruby Rose. She communicates through sign language, adding an eerie, silent intensity to her character. Their brief exchange is more of a stare-down, a silent promise of future confrontation. The thumping bass of the music, the flashing lights, the roar of the crowd, it's all a disorienting, overstimulating backdrop to the deadly game afoot. John, ever the pragmatist, realizes he's outnumbered and outgunned. The pursuit continues into the New York subway system, a subterranean labyrinth where the sounds of the city are amplified into a cacophony of metallic screeches, rushing air, and the distant rumble of trains. John is constantly scanning, his eyes darting from face to face. It's a thrilling, tense sequence. He's attacked by multiple assassins, each encounter a brutal, quick burst of violence. The pencil joke from the first movie is even referenced here, a small nod to his legend. He uses a book as an impromptu weapon, shoves someone into a moving train, and generally turns the subway into his personal combat arena. The punches land with sickening thuds, the bodies collapse with heavy, final thuds against the grimy walls. The surprising element is the reaction of the common citizens, who, despite witnessing literal murder, seem to just keep going. One woman even adjusts her headphones, oblivious or perhaps just used to the casual violence of the city. It's a darkly humorous commentary on urban apathy. Adding to the chaos, Cassian reappears on the subway. Clearly, he's a man of his word and feels honor-bound to avenge Gianna, or perhaps just sees the bounty as a great opportunity. Their second encounter is even more brutal than the first, a desperate struggle on a moving train. The rocking motion, the confined space, the blinding speed, it all amps up the tension. They crash through carriages, slamming into seats and poles, the fight choreographed with a raw, visceral intensity. The metallic clang of the train, the whoosh of air as it speeds through tunnels, the grunts of effort, it creates a symphony of urban warfare. John finally manages to subdue Cassian not by killing him, but by putting a knife deep into his chest, leaving him barely alive, a message about continental rules, and maybe a bit of respect for a worthy adversary. He leaves Cassian on the train, a very clear warning, and then jumps off into the night.
John knows he can't outrun every assassin in the world. He needs to find Santino and end this. His desperation leads him to the Bowery King, a charismatic, somewhat theatrical crime lord who operates a vast network of homeless informers. Lawrence Fishburne, reprising his Matrix reunion with Keanu Reeves, brings a wonderful gravitas and theatrical flair to the role. The Bowery King, with his pigeons and his unique form of intelligence gathering, gives John the information he needs to locate Santino, but not without extracting a small price. 7 bullets, as a gesture of goodwill, or perhaps a down payment for future favors. The scene crackles with a quiet intensity, a mutual respect between two powerful figures in this shadowed underworld. The Bowery King's philosophical musings about kings and queens and knights add a layer of depth to the criminal hierarchy. With the information in hand, John tracks Santino to an elaborate art gallery, an opulent, seemingly impenetrable fortress. The building is a marvel of modern architecture and art, filled with gleaming sculptures, abstract paintings, and intricate installations. It's another beautiful, almost ironic setting for John's brutal mission. The silent, echoing halls, the hushed reverence for art, it all contrasts sharply with the impending chaos. John enters, a lone wolf in a gallery of lambs, and immediately assassins materialize from every corner. The battle through the gallery is a masterclass in controlled chaos. John moves with a practiced lethality, his pistol spitting fire, each shot a precise, deadly strike. The crack of gunfire echoes through the spacious rooms, mingling with the shattering of glass, the splintering of wood as bullets rip through canvases and sculptures. The climax of the gallery fight takes place in a spectacular hall of mirrors. It's a dazzling, disorienting sequence that plays with perception and reality. Reflections stretch endlessly, creating a kaleidoscope of John Wick, Santino, and countless assassins. The sounds are sharp, brittle, the crunch of broken glass underfoot, the thud of bodies hitting reflective surfaces, the rapid-fire reports of pistols as John tries to differentiate between reality and illusion. Eris, Santino's mute bodyguard, is a particular challenge here. Her hand-to-hand combat skills are exceptional, her movements fluid and deadly. She communicates through sign language, taunting John even as she fights him, adding a layer of psychological warfare. The constant shattering of glass, the metallic clang of a knife against a mirror, the panting of exertion, it's an auditory and visual assault. John, despite being surrounded by countless reflections, still finds a way to use the environment to his advantage, breaking through mirrors to surprise his opponents, constantly adapting. He eventually gets the upper hand on Eris, leaving her wounded but alive, a gesture of respect for a worthy foe, or perhaps just because he's tired of killing everyone. Finally, Santino flees to the one place he knows John cannot touch him, the Continental Hotel. He strides in, smug and confident, thinking he's safe, surrounded by the unspoken rules of sanctuary. John, covered in blood and sweat, follows closely behind, his face a mask of grim determination. The contrast between Santino's smirk and John's stony resolve is stark. Winston, observing the scene, sees the inevitable unfolding. He approaches John, calmly reminding him of the sacred rule, no business on Continental grounds. The words hang heavy in the air, a final warning. The entire hotel, filled with assassins and underworld figures, watches with bated breath, the clinking of glasses and hushed conversations giving way to a tense silence. John, fueled by grief, rage, and a profound sense of betrayal, looks at Santino. Santino, still confident in his immunity, even offers John a drink, a gesture of arrogant defiance. It's the ultimate taunt, an insult to John's honor and the memory of his destroyed home. The trigger-happy assassin inside John, who just wants to walk his dog, finally snaps. With a single, brutal shot to the head, John executes Santino right there in the Continental lobby. The muffled pop of the silenced pistol is still shockingly loud in the sudden, absolute silence. The gasp of the onlookers, the clatter of a dropped glass, it all rings out. Santino crumples to the pristine floor, a pool of blood quickly spreading on the polished marble. John has broken the unbreakable rule. The silence in the Continental is deafening, a collective intake of breath from every assassin present. This isn't just a murder, it's an act of defiance.